Hi, I'm Kate. Before I continue, please like and subscribe to hear more of my story. In the heart of a bustling foreign city, I was living what I thought was a dream vacation. The sun shone brightly as I strolled through the vibrant markets, the air filled with exotic scents and lively chatter. My husband Mark and his mother Linda were supposed to meet me after my little shopping spree. We had been exploring for days, soaking in the culture and sights, but today, they had wanted a break. I remember laughing to myself, thinking how they couldn't keep up with my energy. Little did I know, their tiredness was just a facade for a sinister plan. Returning to our hotel, I hummed a local tune I'd picked up, eager to show Mark the souvenirs I had bought. But the humming stopped abruptly as I entered our room. It was empty, eerily silent. Their suitcases, their belongings, all gone. Confusion clouded my mind. I called out, thinking they might be in the bathroom or balcony, but the silence answered back. Then, my eyes caught a piece of paper on the bed. It was a note from Mark. "Sorry, Kate, this isn't working out. Mom and I are going back to the US. Don't try to find us." I stood there frozen, the note trembling in my hands. This had to be a joke, a terrible joke. Frantically, I searched my bag for my phone, but it was nowhere. My wallet, my passport, all missing. It dawned on me. This was no joke. They had left me, taken everything. How could they? Why? In a state of shock, I stumbled down to the hotel lobby. "Excuse me, have you seen my husband and his mother?" My voice was shaky, desperate. The receptionist, a young woman with sympathetic eyes, shook her head. "I'm sorry. They checked out hours ago. They paid the bill and left." My heart sank. I was alone, in a foreign country with no money, no identification. I don't know what to do. They took my passport, my wallet." The words tumbled out, laced with panic. The receptionist looked genuinely concerned. "I am sorry, but without payment for the room." "I understand." I cut her off, my mind racing. I needed to think, to plan. This was survival now. I stepped out of the hotel, the bustling streets now feeling menacing and alien. Every face seemed to be a stranger, every sound a reminder of my isolation. I wandered aimlessly, my mind replaying every moment of the past days, searching for a hint, a sign I had missed. How did I not see this coming? The way Linda would whisper to Mark, their sudden changes in plans, the way they avoided my questions. It was all a setup. As night fell, the cool air bit into my skin. I had no place to go, no one to call. The reality of my situation hit me like a ton of bricks. A small, dimly lit cafe caught my attention. I approached the counter, where a middle-aged man was cleaning glasses. "Excuse me, sir. I'm in a bit of trouble. Could I possibly work for a meal or a place to stay?" He studied me for a moment, his eyes narrowing. "Work? You don't look like you've done much of that." His words stung, but desperation gave me courage. "I can clean, wash dishes, anything. Please." He sighed, then nodded. "All right. You can start by cleaning up the back. We'll see how it goes." That night, I cleaned as if my life depended on it, which, in a way, it did. The cafe owner, Mr. Alvarez, eventually offered me a small meal and a corner to sleep in for the night. As I lay there, in the corner of a foreign cafe, a plan began to form in my mind. I wasn't going to let Mark and Linda get away with this. They thought they could just discard me like trash. No, I was going to fight back. I was going to make them regret ever crossing me. But first, I needed to survive. I needed to adapt. And so, with a fiery resolve burning in my chest, I closed my eyes, not to escape my reality, but to prepare for the battle ahead. They say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Well, Mark and Linda, you've just made me the strongest I've ever been. The next morning at the cafe, I woke up to the clinking of cups and the rich aroma of coffee. I rubbed my eyes, still unable to believe this was my new reality. Mr. Alvarez was at the counter looking over at me. "You awake? Good. Breakfast rush is coming and we need all hands." I nodded, pulling myself up. "Got it. I'll do my best." As I helped out, washing dishes and clearing tables, I couldn't help but feel out of place. The chatter around me was in a language I barely understood. Every now and then, I caught customers looking at me, probably wondering what an American girl was doing working there. In the middle of the morning chaos, a woman walked in. She had a kind face and a warm smile. She ordered a coffee and sat by the window. When our eyes met, she gave me a curious look. "Are you new here?" she asked in English, noticing my struggles with the language. "Yeah, just started yesterday. I'm Kate, by the way." "I'm Anna. You don't look like you're from around here." I hesitated, but then decided to trust her. "Long story short, my husband and his mom left me here without a dime." Anna looked shocked. "That's terrible. Are you okay?" I sighed. "Surviving. But I need to find a way back home, and well, get back at them." Anna nodded thoughtfully. "I might be able to help you. I know people here." Over the next few days, Anna became my lifeline. She taught me basic phrases in the local language and showed me around. We shared stories, and she listened to mine with a sympathetic ear. One evening, while wiping down tables, I voiced a thought to Anna. "I need to gather evidence against them. I just don't know where to start." "Start with what you know," Anna suggested. "Any financial irregularities, shady deals?" Actually, Mark was always secretive about his business dealings. And his mom, she had this habit of flaunting expensive stuff she couldn't afford. That's a start. Let's dig deeper into that. With Anna's help, I started to piece together a plan. I reached out to a few old contacts back home, asking them to keep an eye on Mark and Linda. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Meanwhile, my life in the cafe continued. Mr. Alvarez started teaching me how to make coffee, and even let me handle the cash register sometimes. "You're a quick learner, Kate," he said one afternoon. "You're good for business." I smiled, grateful for the compliment. "Thanks, Mr. Alvarez. I appreciate everything you've done for me." As the days turned into weeks, I became more and more determined. Anna and I would spend hours after my shift, going over every piece of information we could find. We dug through social media, public records, anything that could give us a lead. One night, as we sat with our laptops open and papers scattered around, Anna pointed at the screen. "Look at this. Linda just bought a new car, cash." I leaned in, my heart pounding. "That's it. That's our lead. She's never had that kind of money." "We need to trace where that cash came from," Anna said, her eyes blazing with the same fire I felt in mine. The pieces were starting to come together. Every bit of information felt like a step closer to my revenge. But it wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about justice, about proving that they couldn't just use and discard people without consequences. So I kept working, kept planning. Every cup of coffee I served, every floor I swept, brought me one step closer to my goal. And with Anna by my side, I felt unstoppable. This was more than a personal vendetta. It was a fight for my dignity, my self-respect. Mark and Linda thought they could break me, but they were wrong. They had only made me stronger, more resilient. And as I lay in bed each night, I pictured the look on their faces when they realized I was back. Not the broken, helpless girl they left behind, but a woman who stood tall against their betrayal. I closed my eyes each night, not with fear or sadness, but with a burning determination. I was going to win this, no matter what it took. Mark and Linda had no idea what was coming for them. The cafe was bustling as usual, the aroma of fresh coffee mingling with the sound of lively conversations. Behind the counter, I was a whirl of activity, serving customers and managing the cash register with newfound confidence. Each day, I saved a little more money, tucked away for my return to the States. "Hey, Kate, can you handle the rush for a bit? I need to make a call," Mr. Alvarez said, gesturing towards a group of tourists who had just walked in. "Sure thing, Mr. Alvarez. Got it covered." As I steamed milk for a cappuccino, my thoughts turned to my plan. Tonight, Anna and I had arranged to meet with a lawyer via video call, seeking advice on how to handle Mark and Linda's deceit. "Here's your cappuccino, enjoy." I handed the cup to a smiling customer and moved on to the next order. That evening, after closing time, Anna and I huddled around my laptop in the cafe's back room. The lawyer, Mr. Jackson, appeared on the screen, his expression serious. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us, Mr. Jackson," Anna began. "Kate has a situation." I took a deep breath and recounted my story, not leaving out any details. Mr. Jackson listened intently, occasionally nodding or jotting down notes. After I finished, he leaned forward. "Kate, what you've described sounds like a clear case of fraud and possibly embezzlement. We need solid evidence, though." "I've started collecting some," I said, pulling out a folder of documents and photos I had discreetly gathered over the past weeks. Mr. Jackson raised an eyebrow. Impressive. But we need to be cautious. If they suspect you're onto them, they might cover their tracks. You mean like financial records? Bank statements? I asked. Exactly. Anything that proves illegal activity. Anna chimed in. We think Linda's recent cash purchases might be a good lead. Good thinking. Follow that trail. Meanwhile, I'll start preparing a case. Keep me updated. The call ended, and Anna and I exchanged determined looks. We've got work to do, Kate. The following weeks were a blur of activity. During the day, I worked at the cafe, learning everything from managing inventory to making the perfect espresso. At night, Anna and I turned into amateur detectives, piecing together the puzzle of Mark and Linda's deceit. One evening, while poring over social media, Anna hit a breakthrough. Kate, look at this. She pointed at her screen. It was a photo of Linda at a high-end store, holding a designer bag. That's it. She couldn't afford that before. Let's find out how she paid. We dived deeper, tracing her purchases, cross-referencing them with public records. The more we uncovered, the clearer the picture became. Unexplained cash flows, large unaccounted expenses. The evidence was stacking up. As we collected information, I felt a mix of emotions: anger at their betrayal, satisfaction at uncovering their lies, but above all, a sense of empowerment. I was no longer the victim. I was taking control. Kate, we're getting close, but we need to be smart about this. They won't go down without a fight, Anna warned me one night. I know, but I can't back down now. Not after everything. Our research led us to discover hidden bank accounts and shady transactions. Mark and Linda were more involved in illegal activities than I had ever imagined. As the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, I realized the extent of their betrayal. They didn't just abandon me. They had been using me as a cover for their crimes. My marriage, my trust, all exploited for their gain. But I wasn't the same person they left behind. I had changed, grown stronger, and more resilient. With each new skill I learned, each piece of evidence I gathered, I was building my case against them. And as I lay in bed each night, planning my next move, I knew one thing for sure. I was coming back, not just to settle scores, but to reclaim my life and my dignity. Mark and Linda had made a grave mistake thinking they could get rid of me so easily. They had no idea who they were dealing with, and soon, they would find out. After months of preparation and gathering evidence, the day finally came. I was on a plane back to the U.S., my heart pounding with a mix of nervousness and determination. As the plane touched down, I felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it. The moment of confrontation was near. I headed straight to our old house, the place I once called home. Seeing it brought a flood of memories, but I pushed them aside. I was here for one thing: justice. As I approached the door, my hand trembled slightly. This was the moment of truth. I took a deep breath and rang the bell. The door swung open, and there stood Mark, his face a picture of shock. Kate? What? How? I'm back, Mark, and we need to talk. Now. Mark hesitated, then stepped aside. I walked in, each step more confident than the last. Linda was in the living room, her expression turning from surprise to fear as she saw me. You shouldn't be here, Linda stammered. Oh, but I am, and I have something you both need to see. I laid out the documents, photos, bank statements, everything. Mark and Linda's faces turned pale as they realized the extent of the evidence I had against them. This is a misunderstanding, Kate, Mark tried to explain. We can talk about this. No more talking, Mark. You and your mother left me stranded in a foreign country with nothing. You thought I'd just disappear? Well, guess what? I didn't. And now I know everything. Linda tried to interject. Kate, honey, let's sort this out. We're family. I was family until you abandoned me, but now we're nothing. I'm taking legal action. Mark's voice took on a desperate tone. Kate, please, let's not make this ugly. We can settle this privately. There's no we in this, Mark. You made your choice. Now, you face the consequences. I could see the fear in their eyes, the realization that their world was about to crumble. But there was no sympathy in my heart for them. They had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. I left them there, in the house that no longer felt like mine, and went straight to Mr. Jackson's office. He was waiting for me, his expression serious but supportive. Kate, good to see you. Are you ready to proceed? Yes, Mr. Jackson. It's time they paid for what they did. Mr. Jackson nodded. We have a solid case. With your evidence and testimony, we can bring them to justice. The legal process was long and grueling. Mark and Linda tried every trick in the book to discredit me, but I stood my ground. The evidence was overwhelming, and their lies only tangled them further. In the courtroom, facing Mark and Linda, I felt a sense of empowerment. This was more than revenge. It was about standing up for myself, about not letting them destroy me. When the verdict came, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Mark and Linda were found guilty of fraud, embezzlement, and a list of other charges. The judge was unsparing in his condemnation of their actions. As they were led away, Mark turned to me, a look of disbelief on his face. But I just looked back, resolute and unyielding. This was the closure I needed. They had tried to break me, but I had emerged stronger. Walking out of that courtroom, I had faced my fears, fought my battles, and come out victorious. Mark and Linda's betrayal had been the catalyst for my transformation. They thought they had left me with nothing, but in reality, they had given me the greatest gift, the strength to stand up for myself and the courage to fight for what I deserved. As I stepped out into the sunlight, a free woman, I knew this was just the beginning. A new chapter was waiting for me, one where I was no longer a victim, but a survivor, a fighter, and I was ready for whatever came next. As I sipped coffee with Anna, the settlement from the lawsuit in my account, I felt a surge of empowerment. Starting fresh, I said, a smile spreading across my face. Maybe I'll open my own cafe. Anna beamed at me. You'll be amazing, Kate. My new independent life was just beginning. Now that our story concludes, I pose this question. If you were in Kate's shoes, did you relate more to staying abroad to rebuild or returning for revenge? Like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below.